What's going on, everybody? Welcome to week 12 of Flex or Fade, where Ethan and I discuss a Saturday main slate DraftKings option. We kind of target two similar options, whether it's a quarterback, running back, receiver, and dig into why we like one more than the other. Sometimes it's one a lot more than the other. But this week, I think we agree both options are certainly in play. If you haven't seen the Rashad Owens video, please check that out. This week, my flex is going to be Reggie Brown, the JMU receiver. What a wild year for James Madison. Some big news about them being eligible this week. But ultimately, his passing attack has been really great behind an incredible head coach that is able to make anything look good. And that's Jordan McLeod. He threw for 457 last week, and Reggie Brown had 200 yards of it. So I'm a huge fan of Reggie Brown for a few different reasons, right? Really nice target share. He's a clear top two target for a team that's going to throw 30 to 40 times and do it really pretty well. 8 to 9 targets certainly seems in play. 8 touchdowns, and I think it's 71 targets, so the target share is nice. More recently, 5 of those touchdowns have come in the last 4 games, with the one game no touchdowns, but it was also that blowout against Georgia State. So I really like the upside here. A little bit of bust potential. There's always a possibility that McLeod vultures touchdowns and, Surratt gets those. But, I think if I'm looking at tournament plays in this mid-range section, I really think Brown is an elite option here. Maybe even consider a potential pivot because I think Surratt will be highly owned as well. And I think they're going to probably pass more or lean on that passing game more with some, I would say, between Tyson Lawton and Kalen Black, there's some guys dinged up, plus just not being super effective. So you wonder, against a tougher App State team, do they throw it more? So I wouldn't say all in on Reggie Brown. I'm very much in on Reggie Brown. He will be one of my higher on guys for sure on the slate. In a receiver group that's certainly going to lean towards the middle of the pack guys instead of those superstars like we talked about on this week's Campus to Caching. Ethan, tell the family, the group, why you are more on Rashad Owens or other options than Reggie Brown.
Yeah, for sure. You touched on it a little bit there with mentioning, the volatility that his game provides. We do have, those big best game of his year last week with the 202 receiving yards and the 2 touchdowns, massive blow up spot. That was absolutely great if you were playing him. He's had big games, Utah State, Marshall, it looks like ODU. He had a nice game against all of those games. He's gone over 100 yards. App State, though, they're the 27th ranked pass defense. They're allowing only 197 yards through the air on average. Some of that is going to be slanted a little bit playing in the Sun Belt. You're going to have more run heavy teams a little bit, and the quality of the opponent is not necessarily going to be great. But, I really think the volatility in his game is stemming from the fact that there are just other options to go with. You mentioned the running backs with Kalen Black and Tyson Lawton. You mentioned, the other receiving options with Elijah Surratt. You've got Phoenix Sproles over there, who's kind of come on the past few weeks as a decent option, a nice cheap option as well. I do think that Reggie Brown is going to be pretty heavily owned this week. And so I think that, it's not any one of those factors that really makes me wary, but it's all of those options combined with the fact that, we're looking at probably higher ownership. Whenever you have an opportunity with high ownership and a volatile option in there that has a wide variety of outcomes, I think it's always a good consideration to fade. Like I said in the other video, and like you mentioned too, these aren't two guys that we are very polarized on to where we're going to be totally excluding one of them. These are both guys that have the opportunity to have a good game. But when push comes to shove, I take the game that I think has the lower chance of falling on its face. Although, anytime Donovan Smith is in a game, that Oklahoma State Houston game does have a shot to fall on its face. But I think App State has a good enough defense to where they could shut JMU down. James Madison, I don't know if that decision on not having their appeal allowed is going to galvanize them or whether it's going to demoralize them. So a lot of options and a lot of just variables that are swinging around. And that's why I am less in on Reggie Brown this week, and I'm considering him a fade in terms of our discussion. But we'd love to hear from our audience here. We'd love to hear from you guys. Jump into our Discord. Let us know what you think. Reach out to us on Twitter. Who do you like? We've got to get some feedback. We know last week seemed real gross with that Purdue Minnesota game, but sometimes we know best. So I think this week is going to be another great opportunity for some good football and some good output from both of these guys. So have a great weekend, guys.